Welcome to Searching for the Question Live. My name is David Orban, and this is the second AMA, Ask Me Anything session that we have together. We are streaming live simultaneously on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you can send me your questions directly on those platforms. I will be able to display them, and I will be able to answer them. But I also set up another couple of ways that you can send your questions. One is persistent. You will be able to join the community on davidorban.com/discord, where we discuss the themes, not only of this episode, but also those that I will have with my guests in the future, or that I had in the previous more than 50 episodes of Searching for the Question Live. And we had guests of all kinds with very interesting themes that I'm sure you will enjoy discussing further in the Discord server. So we set up a specific channel for the Ask Me Anything questions. So you can send them there as well. Or specifically for this second AMA session, I set up Slido. Slido is a very smart platform for asking questions and voting on the questions. That is what I like about it, especially because it enables the best questions to bubble up in and very natural sorting based on the participants. So if you go to Slido and enter the hashtag DOAMA2, David Orban, Ask Me Anything, number 2, easy to remember, you will be able to see the questions that are already lined up and also add your own. And of course, as with every show, I also want to remind you that if you like and appreciate the content that I produce with my team, you are welcome to become a fan, a supporter, a sponsor, or a benefactor according to the various tiers on patreon.com/David Orban. So let's start and see the questions on Slido, and then see what possible other questions come up on the various platforms in the form of live comments. But we will look at the Slido questions first. And as far as the length of this stream is concerned, originally, Searching for the Question Live is meant to be an hour long. We had exceptions in the past. For example, Stephen Wolfram and I had a conversation that lasted more than 2 hours, and that was really wonderful. So I don't know how long it is going to be. Either we run out of questions or we run out of time. So we will see. So here you go. This is the Slido interface in the so-called presentation mode. If you connect to the address on the QR code, or you type slido.com and then enter manually the hashtag DOAMA2, it is the same thing. But instead of seeing this kind of presentation mode, you will see another interface where you will be able to enter the questions as well. It works on your phone, it works on your browser, quite wonderful. So let's scroll through the questions. I have the privilege, I must tell you, of both obeying the system and picking the questions that have been voted the most or not. I also have the privilege to not necessarily answer every question. Actually, it was Richard Saul Wurman, the creator of TED and the inventor of the expression information architecture, Richard quipped in a comment when I posted that I will have this session with you, that that could be a dangerous thing. Well, the session is called Ask Me Anything. So you are free to ask every question. It is not called I will answer everything. It would be a little bit too sadomasochistic if I committed to that. So let's pick one question here. And thank you, by the way, to Emiliano and Massimo and Gianluigi and Jay and who else? Anonymous for all the questions. All right, let's start from the top. So here you go. This is how it works. Will there ever be a faster internet connection than 5G or fiber to the home? Will zero lag communication be possible? Okay. So as far as the second part of the question is concerned, the answer is easy. I wish. I wish actually that we lived in a universe where the possibility of instantaneous communication were possible. Or maybe I don't. So I gave a talk about this in New York about ontological cosmology. Ontological cosmology is a term that I came up with. It's basically thinking about what kind of universe you would like to be living in if you had a choice, and then checking whether the universe that you actually are living in corresponds to that kind of universe or not. So let me see if I can bring it up quickly and show you, because okay, let me bang on the keyboard here. There you go. This is it. So let me share the screen. All right. So in this video, I talk about the evolution of the universe and how we learn about it, and then how we can ask ourselves, what is the nature of the universe? And the more we learn about the universe, the more we want to know. And the more we equip ourselves with tools that enable us to learn as much as possible. So the theoretical limit of how deeply matter can think about the world is called computronium. Per definition, the computronium is the densest possible thinking compound. So if you want to think more, with computronium, you can do nothing but add matter to the mass that is already thinking. So computronium will eat everything. It will eat its planet, its satellites, everything available in its solar system, and then further. So if faster than light communication were possible, then we would be eaten by a computronium-based brain that has no upper limit. But if faster than light communication is not possible, then the left side of the computronium brain is going to go left, the right side is going to go right, in their insatiable hunger of thinking more and more, and they will not be able to tell each other, wait a minute, if we do that, we will break in half. And whatever that radius is, whether it is a kilometer or a light year, it doesn't matter. If faster than light communication is not possible, then a computronium-based brain cannot eat everything in the universe. And I like variety. I like the possibility of different approaches to the same problem. So that is the kind of universe I want to live in. And that means that the kind of communication that we were proposed by Emiliano shouldn't be possible. I also think it is not possible, but I also think it should not be possible. Now, as far as, and sorry, let me be just more explicit with regards to the second part. Since it is not possible to communicate faster than the speed of light, whatever the distance, it doesn't matter if it is 1 centimeter or 1 kilometer or 1 light year, whatever is the distance, the lag is always going to be there. Will it matter? Well, it depends on the type of applications that you want to run. You know that if you are fighting in a shared video game, and there is more than maybe 5 millisecond lag, the other players who are very good and have a faster connection than yours, or a connection with a lower lag than yours, will kill you. So in that case, you will want it to be lower. But there are other types of communications where a kind of lag is acceptable. So for example, between your brain and your leg, there is a lag. But we survive with that too. Now, the first part of the question, will there be a faster internet connection than 5G or fiber to the home? So 5G, definitely. We will learn how to massage the radio waves and have a greater bandwidth than available under 5G today or tomorrow, because 5G is still being deployed and its maximum speed is going to increase as well. But as far as fiber, what is amazing about fiber is that once you lay it down, the glass doesn't need to be replaced. What may need to be replaced are the endpoint transmitters and receivers. But as long as you have a widespread fiber infrastructure, you can actually improve those and move from 100 megabit to 1 gigabit, from 1 gigabit to 10 gigabit, and so on. And that is why it is so important every nation that is able to implement a widespread fiber strategy to lay down cables in not only the backbones, but as a widespread manner as possible, is going to gain a lot of advantage as a consequence in the future. Thank you for telling me that my camera is sometimes out of focus, and it is autofocus, and I have no idea why it likes to put my books in focus rather than me. It makes me mad, and I do this silly thing with my finger, and then it goes to my eyes. It's as if it wouldn't see my face. It should be seeing my face. Sorry, and thanks for making me aware of that. All right, so this question is taken care of. Let's go to someone else. Let's go to Massimo. Massimo is asking, what is the most important insight you gained by creating online content during the past several months? So I haven't been only creating content during the past 3-4 months, even though the intensity with which I am doing that has greatly increased. And the opportunity has been to not as much discover this as a new thing, but to strongly confirm that as far as I am concerned, it is so much better to just start doing something, even if it is imperfect, and then improve on it, than not pretend that you will get it perfect and wait until you get there and only start at that point. And I can actually give you specific testimony about how this is working very, very well for me. If I waited for the stream to be perfect, maybe I would have found so many of you, but for sure, I couldn't have leveraged the advice that you are giving me. The advice like I received today, hey, buddy, your camera is out of focus, or advice that I received in the past. Why don't you switch your chair that has a high back, which is possibly comfy, but it's ugly on the scene, with one that is lower? Or why don't you improve your lighting? Or why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And so that is how you get better, by accepting that you are imperfect and listening to advice and improving things. And I have friends who say, oh, I want to live stream. And I ask them, okay, when is your first live stream? Oh, no, I have to set things up. And not one, not two, but dozens of people I know have not started doing one show. They accumulated over the course of the past, I would say, year or more, zero experience. And of course, if you screw up at the beginning, the proportion of your future viewers that see you screwing up at the beginning is exactly zero. Because if you have a few viewers, then fine, they see you screwing up, but maybe they will help you. You know, they will love you for the imperfection of what you do. But the number of those viewers is guaranteed to be very few. So if in the future you reach millions of users, in proportion of those millions, the handful that saw you being very, very imperfect is literally very close to zero or practically zero. I am an admirer of Bre Pettis. And Bre Pettis formulated a few years ago something called the Cult of Done Manifesto. Let me Google it. Cult of Done Manifesto. When I have guests, I have the advantage of being able to talk to them and then have them speak. And while they are speaking, I am able to Google and bring in via Google the things that I discover without you realizing that I am doing that. So let me read this to you. There are 3 states of being: not knowing, action, and completion. Accept that everything is a draft. It helps to get it done. There is no editing stage. Pretending you know what you are doing is almost the same as knowing what you are doing. So just accept that you know what you are doing, even if you don't, and do it. Banish procrastination. If you wait more than a week to get an idea done, abandon it. The point of being done is not to finish, but to get other things done. Once you are done, you can throw it away. Laugh at perfection. It's boring. and keeps you from being done. People without dirty hands are wrong. Doing something makes you right. Failure counts as done. So do mistakes. Destruction is a variant of done. If you have an idea and publish it on the internet, that counts as a ghost of done. Done is the engine of more. So I loved this so much that I created the Italian version with Manifesto del culto del fare. And that's it. Well, it was actually the manifesto of the manifesto of the cult of done, because I not only translated it, but I also typeset it the way that the original was. So that is the reason why I love experimenting. I get my hands dirty, I learn a lot, I get in wonderful relationships with people that I wouldn't have met if I didn't put myself out there to make mistakes and to learn together. So that was what I wanted to share with you in replying to the question from Massimo. All right, let's mark this done as well. Let's take this. How can I prepare best for the interviews at the TL Fellowship? So the TL Fellowship is an interesting beast. It's the only activity of the TL Foundation that has been established by Peter Thiel, and the Thiel Fellowship pays people who are up to 25 years old to follow their projects and passion with basically no strings attached, except one condition, which is they have to drop out of college. And this is pretty amazing. A lot of people feel that this kind of responsibility shouldn't be thrown on people who are young. They have to be less than 22, and it is true. This kind of program is not for everyone. However, it is a wonderful opportunity for a lot of people for whom college would not be the right thing. Because there are a lot of people who feel that the programs that they are subjected to during college are a waste of their time. And too many live under the assumption that college is the ticket to getting a job. And this is not true in many, many places of the world. Just because you have a degree, that doesn't mean that you will get a job or the job that you want or a job that pays enough. And this is where the Cult of Done manifesto comes into play again. Yes, college is necessary if you want to teach at university, or if you want to participate in most research programs that will require not only a college degree, but very likely a doctorate, a PhD. But apart from those two conditions, for the vast majority of people, a PhD after a college is a huge waste of time. And for a lot of people, even a college degree is a waste of time. Because in that 8 years, if you have a PhD, or 4 years, 5 years, if you have a college degree, you are able to do so much and learn so much by getting your hands dirty rather than listening somebody else telling you what they know and pretending that you internalize it without proving by yourself your worth, your talent, and how it aligns with your passion, etc. So the TL Fellowship receives a lot of applications from all over the world. And I am not part of the selection process. I like to talk to the candidates and mentor them, helping them both before and sometimes after being selected, or even after being rejected, because it is really not a definitive filter, nor the award committee is going to get it always right. So I'm always telling the candidates, be genuinely yourself, be passionate, be ambitious, maybe be immodest if you feel that's what you are. But recognize that there are so many other paths and so many other people, including very smart people. And your job is to find them, find the paths, and then there will be a lot of opportunities, including the fellowship, but also others. And the project really that you may be presenting is an excuse. Nobody pretends, nobody can reasonably pretend that you can be an entrepreneur that has a lot of experience and that you will apply that experience to that new project when you are 20 or 19 or 18 or 17. Because there have been people who entered the fellowship at those ages. But the project, whatever it is going to be, is a great excuse to have a conversation, to learn about you more, to understand your leadership skills, the fact that you are sufficiently self-directed, that you are able to face and overcome challenges that are going to be in unlimited supply. Okay, so let's see. Set this done and go to the next one. Do you think that autonomous cars could be a good alternative to trains in areas where there isn't a good railway infrastructure available? Somebody suggested that the microphone being in the picture is the reason why the camera goes out of focus. Doesn't look like it is, does it? Because now the microphone is not in the picture, but the camera still went out of focus. Sorry for that. Let me see if more light will make it better. Maybe a little more yellowish light, even if it is more not too white. Let's see if it will be a good focus this time around. And also, since I moved the microphone, let me know if the audio is good, or now I'm, of course, finding a trade-off that sacrifices audio in order to be in focus. So back to the question, can cars substitute trains? Well, the investment is completely different, right? For a nation to invest in trains, something like the US, for example, where the train network is extremely weak and insufficient is a huge endeavor. Now, would it benefit the US to invest in high-speed rail like China is doing? I think it would definitely benefit to do that, especially in the great distances. So there is one being now planned between San Francisco and LA, but it is a huge cost. They are expecting it to cost something like $50 billion or maybe $100 billion. I don't remember. A huge amount of money. And it is guaranteed, whatever they are projecting, that the final cost is going to be twice or four times that much. Now, the advantage of trains, of course, is that they are very safe, they are very reliable, they have a great environmental impact, meaning that it is very low. And you can run electric trains, you can run levitating trains, you can run all kinds of upgrades where you improve and incorporate new things in the existing infrastructure. However, the cost per mile of a train is not necessarily very good unless there is a lot of people occupying the train. And that is why in the US they are saying, okay, let's do trains in the very crowded segment between San Francisco and LA, but let's not have a train in other parts where we don't know if we can project a large number of people taking the train. It is a little bit of a self-defeating reasoning, but it is part of the decision-making process for sure. Now, self-driving cars satisfy the previous list of benefits. They are very safe, they are very reliable, they have a very low environmental impact, but they will have an occupancy rate that per definition is going to be very high. So let me take these one by one. Very safe. It is expected that they will reduce accidents by 95, 97, 99%. We don't know yet, but we know that 1 million people die today of car accidents, and we expect self-driving cars not to drink alcohol, not to fall asleep, not to text while driving on their phones instead of watching the road, and so many other things that humans do that they shouldn't be doing when they are driving. Self-driving cars are not going to do. All those accidents are going to go away. They are also going to be reliable because a self-driving car is not going to forget about maintenance of the car or changing the tires or not going to be checked up. Actually, it is going to be able to self-deliver to the repair shop as soon as something is wrong. So self-driving cars are going to be extremely reliable. Self-driving cars are also going to be electric. Now, it may be the case that traditional car companies are not telling the public everything they already know because they have this self-preservation instinct. They want you to buy this year's model and next year's model and the model the year after, especially internal combustion engine cars, because those are the ones that they know how to sell and build at a profit. But don't do that. Don't buy a car today that is anything but a Tesla. And if you cannot afford a Tesla, don't buy a car. Every car that you buy is going to end up to be impossible to resell if you want to resell it, and you will not want to keep it for 10 or 20 years without being able to switch to a new type of transportation that is behind the corner. And hopefully there will be other cars, not only the Tesla, that are worth buying, but as of today on the market, there aren't. So the possibility of having an electric self-driving car is, in my opinion, what we have to look at, and then calculate the environmental impact as well as the cost per mile transportation that these cars are going to be able to deliver. And they are going to be really unbeatable. We will be able to have a transportation that is absolutely fabulously inexpensive compared to anything we have today, including that new form factors are going to be available. If you have just one person in the car, that is the person that is going to be transported with a car fit for the number of people. If you have 3 people, 4 people, 6 people, you will tell with your phone what you need, and that is the car that is going to come to pick you up and bring you anywhere. And people who don't have a driving license are going to be able to be in a self-driving car. People who are disabled are going to be able to be in a self-driving car, or children. And you are not going to be worrying about their safety as they are in the car. Or you will transport all kinds of packages that today are not worth transporting. What about me delivering this or this? Well, today I am not able to pay less than probably 30, 40 euro or dollars in order to bring these to the next city. And the self-driving cars, robo-cars, are going to be able to do that. If you want to look at more in detail this subject, we had an episode of Searching for the Question Live with Brad Templeton. And Brad is one of the world's experts in self-driving cars. So you should definitely watch this episode where we talk about supply chains and flying cars as well. We look at so many different issues around the wonderful revolution of self-driving cars. look at the beard I had. That's funny. All right, so let's go to the next question. Massimo is asking, how do you feel about meeting so many people online compared to traveling around the world to meet them? Well, I love to travel and I love to meet people, and as a consequence, I miss it. However, the infrastructure we have in order to meet people online is really wonderful. And so I enjoy it greatly. And I have no qualms about establishing relationships online. And then, when possible, to meet those people in person. And it is not new to me. It is not something that I have just started doing, but I have been doing it for a long time. For example, let's see, David, Orban, Agnon, and Turboy. What comes? There you go. Turboy. Let's include that as well. Well, I don't know if we are actually there because these are all females. And maybe this is not him. Anyway, it is just one of the examples that came into my mind I'm not sharing the screen, apologies. So when Second Life was big 10 years ago and more, I had a community of thousands of people that did all kinds of very cool things. And I would meet avatars that would be called all kinds of strange names, and they would be having sometimes a human shape, other times a non-human shape, and it would be fine. There would be no problem with that. So the example that I am now quoting is with an avatar called Turboy that I kept calling Turboy for a long time, even after meeting him in the physical world. And he is now, I think, in Ireland, and he founded a company called Echo BNB. And I wonder how he is coping because it is about travel. And just like Airbnb is having a hard time, I am sure that Echo BNB is having a hard time as well. So this is an example to go back to the question that we are now looking at of a wonderful online meeting that became a friendship in the physical world. And I expect this to be the case going forward. And we'll see what the balance or the proportion of these is going to be. If I can start traveling again, I will be very happy to do that. And then the physical meetings or the meetings in the physical world will restart. If not, I will keep meeting people in the online worlds, and that will be fine too. So let me take a look at. Wow! All right. So here is a friend. Let me share this with you because we have this Discord server, and you cannot really see it. It doesn't matter probably. I just wanted to take a look, and I didn't want to abandon you. Why I did. So here is another example. Hello, Robin Good. So Robin Good is someone that I have been following online for a long time, and then we met in physical space. Let me see if I can find David Orban Robin Good. No. Wow. All right. So probably this photo comes up because I must have taken it. Yep. There you go. Wikipedia is fantastic. So I didn't know Wikipedia had this photo of mine, but since I release my photos under Creative Commons, people pick them up and post them on Wikipedia, and I'm happy about that. And so here is Robin Good with our mutual friend Marco Zamperini, who passed away a few years ago. And so 12 years ago, after following Robin Good online for a long time, we were able to meet. I don't know if that was the first time we met. And now Robin Good is here in the Discord server. So let me actually take a screenshot and paste it here just to be funny about it. I don't know if he's watching and then going back to the Discord server, realizing that I am streaming the server content. All right. I think this is part of the fun. So let's go back to the questions and look at another one. Okay, this is fun too. Do you like arcade games? And if yes, can you show your arcade setup? So absolutely, I do like arcade games. And let me see if I can show you my setup. Okay. So this is the streaming setup that you are seeing right now. I think I have to clean the lens a little bit. Sorry. Okay, let's see how it is. Is it better? Yes. So this is the setup with my camera, which refuses to be in focus today. My monitor looking at the stream itself. These are the questions, right? And here's my dog. Hello. Hello, dog. Hello. She's blind. Do you want to go out? She doesn't speak English. So here is my arcade. This is the arcade that my son Cosimo and I bought. And obviously it goes back to the 90s as a concept. Well, maybe the 80s actually, when coin ops were popular, and you would go and put in money in the machine in order to play the games. And that's my arcade setup. So I hope the audio of that wasn't too bad, because I went away from the microphone. But that is how you can play video games from the past today, and it is really fun. My favorite game is Qbert, and if you haven't played it, I greatly recommend it. Qbert. That's it. And my second favorite game is Xavius. Let's see if I can find that as well. This geometrical game is really fun. So This is Xavius 82. Yeah, so I said the 90s, but absolutely the 80s. And come on. Wow. I never had YouTube not coming up. Hello. Okay, this is it. And playing these games was really wonderful. I greatly enjoyed it, and I am very happy that we have this machine that allows me to play them again, and to play them also together with my sons who have fun. And this kind of technological nostalgia is absolutely positive and justified, and it is good fun. Good fun. Also, these can last a long time if you are very good, but I'm not very good anymore, so I can't afford to play just a few minutes, because what I cannot do now is to play with the console games that require hours of gameplay. And I just don't feel I can justify the investment in time that they require. And so I play console games vicariously through my children, and then they tell me, "Oh, this is great! You should really play that," and so on. Okay, so that was Oh, look at that! So Robin Good is confirming. Let me share this because this is fun. I dropped back into the Discord server. So let me share that. I am sharing now the application window so that I can let you see it better. So there you go. So he says, "Do you remember where we were?" And he says, "I'm following the stream on YouTube. I think we were in Rome." Let me respond. I think we were in Rome. and that must have been like 12 years ago. And he was streaming back then, and I was a guest on his stream or something. So this is fun, talking about online and offline and things like that. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, how do you see the world 50 years after the technological singularity? Okay, this is a fun question. So, first of all, it is worth confirming that the technological singularity is a theoretical concept. It is. Let me kill this because it sends an echo. Okay. The technological singularity is a theoretical concept. It may happen, it may not happen, we don't know. It is about an age dominated by artificial intelligence, similarly to how, for example, our age is dominated by bacteria whose metabolism generates oxygen and multicellular organisms, while vegetation consumes CO2 and generates oxygen, right? So there has been a time before where the metabolism was different because there wasn't oxygen available in the atmosphere, and the whole different ecosystem lived and dominated Earth. And then many things happened that made this transformation possible. And now we almost don't even remember how it was. Well, humans don't remember because the previous era was literally billions of years ago. The shift between oxygen consuming and oxygen producing happened a couple of billions of years ago. But we have traces of that left. So, for example, in volcanic vents, in the oceanic trenches, 4, 6, 8,000 meters underwater, there is warmth because of these underground emissions of heat from the core of Earth. And that warmth enables organisms to live. And those organisms feed on a metabolism that doesn't need oxygen because there isn't any. So those are the tiny places where those organisms live. Now, of course, it is their entire world. For them, that is not tiny. For them, that is literally their universe. If you ask them, they would say, our world is beautiful and complex, and we count on it going on forever. And we wish we would be able to explore more, and we are sure we would be able to adapt to whatever is elsewhere because we recognize our worth. So if and when artificial intelligence is going to become a force that not only we use, but it will acquire self-directedness, it will acquire autonomy, and it will acquire a non-trivial desire to set its own goals as a consequence of that autonomy, and the ability to modify itself in order to be better adapted in the achievement of those goals. That will be the threshold of what we call technological singularity. So, is a self-driving car something that belongs to what we call artificial intelligence? Absolutely. Is a self-driving car the precursor of the technological singularity? Absolutely not, for many reasons. For example, its intelligence is extremely specific. It is not a general intelligence. It cannot apply its intelligence to any problem. It can drive a car very well, hopefully soon, uncontrovertibly better than any human ever could, so that we stop killing ourselves and each other in cars, but it will not set itself to any other goal of exploring the universe or understanding microbiology or anything else. We need a general intelligence. So only if and when there will be artificial general intelligences, that is when we will then be able to ask ourselves, is this, are you, maybe we will be able to ask it, are you aiming to ask yourself, what could you do? And if you ask yourself that question, do you expect to analyze the question and to weigh the pros and the cons of the possible answers, and then to execute and act on those answers depending on what you find? And depending on that answer, the technological singularity may happen or not. And if it happens, we will find ourselves like the ancient bacterial life living in the volcanic vents at the bottom of the ocean, who felt that they understood everything about the world and the universe, and they realized that they don't. And they are surprised and exhilarated and excited, and they may try to participate. And whether they do or they don't greatly depends in their ability to overcome their own limitations, their very nature. Transcending our human nature is going to be a huge quest and a huge question, and how we answer that question individually and as a species will define, even if we are going to see the world 50 years after the technological singularity, because it potentially is going to be very different. Maybe not on Earth, maybe not around humans that responded in the negative. The humans that said, I don't want to overcome my humanness, will live on Earth, possibly under very similar circumstances as today, with more technological gizmos, hopefully with less anguish and less stress due to limitations in circumstances, like where you are born, how lucky you are, what are your genes. Those will be addressed. And then those humans will be able to have a wonderful life exploring their civilization and living out their lives. But everything that matters will happen in terms of changing the solar system and potentially changing the universe at a scale and in variables and in manners that those humans will scarcely perceive. They may perceive it astronomically, pointing their telescopes and asking themselves, what is going on? And then answering, oh yeah, the powers, as Werner Vinci calls them, the powers that were born out of the technological singularity are building their dreams, but we chose to stay behind. So those that participate will see the world, and I mean the universe, not Earth, in a manner that is both different and the same. Different because very different things are going to happen in it, but a little bit the same because in different layers of abstraction and in different ways, but there will be limitations, there will be conflict, there will be desire and anger and sadness. So there will be a little bit of self-similarity in it as well. So Marco, thank you very much for that question. Oh, a similar one coming from Emiliano again. Would you upload your brain into the cloud if you could? So that is just one way of transcending your traditional human nature, right? Uploading your consciousness in a different substrate is going to be one of the possibilities, and I personally would do it in the full understanding that it wouldn't be me. I mean, it wouldn't be me a second later that it woke up and said hello, because its experiences would start to diverge right away, and it would stop being the me that uploaded. Now, there are, of course, a lot of details and many devils in all those details. Would the uploading process be destructive? Or would both of us exist? Could I do it many times over? I gave a talk about this. Let me search for it right away. It was north of New York at a TEDx, and I called it Parallel Lives. And Parallel Lives was my concept of instantiating your opportunity of being in the cloud in an uploaded identity, but realizing that you could do more and live more than just once. And so if you want, you can watch this, and I talk about how this is going to be the way that many people choose to live, not just once, but in parallel, many identities. Okay. So there are still a lot of questions, but I don't think I will be able to cover many more. Let me just check this off and take a last one. I will take the last one from Gianluigi. When do you expect nanobots to be available for repairing brain damage or aging? So I don't like to be called a futurist, even though I do have to deal with the future every day, just like all of you. Professional futurists get it wrong so often. It is embarrassing. And it is a good and necessary trap, but still it is a trap where the probability of getting something right is minimal, and the reward of getting it right is also minimal. People tend to remember the futurists that get it wrong much more. So anyway, let's attempt to answer this tricky question. Nanotechnology has been identified as a potential endeavor in engineering in the 50s. Richard Feynman gave a talk that was entitled "There is Plenty Room at the Bottom." And this talk was very generative. There were a lot of things that were born out of this talk. And one of the things that were born was that one of Richard Feynman's students, Eric Drexler, was greatly inspired. And he went ahead to write a couple of very influential books. Engines of Creation, that was for a general public, talking about nanotechnology. And the other book that he wrote about the same time is nanosystems, molecular machinery, manufacturing, and computation. By the way, Engines of Creation is available now for free. I really recommend reading it. It's wonderful. And very little happened for the past 40 years in terms of nanotechnology. Very little. For 40 years, we did not execute on the dreams and the ambitions of Feynman and Drexler and so many others. Another one that I would like to mention is Merkel. Ralph Merkel, who you can see here in a photo of mine taken at the Singularity Summit in what I would say 2007. There you go, 2007. The Singularity Summit was organized by the Singularity Institute, and it was a precursor to the Singularity University and the Singularity University Summit. And Ralph became one of the founding faculty of Singularity University. And I must have a video with him as well. It's not popping up. Oh, there you go. So you may want to watch this video too, because it talks about, oh, it's funny, Wired came there too, because they published these videos on the website of the magazine. So here Ralph talks about molecular manufacturing and stuff like that. I will put all of these in the links of the video. So back to the question. If for 50 years and more we did nothing, can we reasonably expect a breakthrough? And within the next 5, 10, 20 years, nanotechnology to be more than what painfully it became, chemistry basically, stainless pans. Those are the pinnacles of nanotechnology. Now, I'm exaggerating because we are at the nanoscale in electronics, for example. But all of it is from top down. None of it is from the bottom up. The best examples of bottom up nanotechnology we have are viruses. And we are starting to engineer viruses. And there is an episode of Searching for the Question Live with Andy Hessel, that if you are curious about nanotechnology, you should watch, because in this episode, we do talk about nanotechnology. Even if we call it synthetic biology, it is actually nanotechnology. That is what it is. And so we have to make sure that we understand what we are talking about. That what we are talking about can be much more than not what we think it could be. But still, whether it is synthetic biology, whether it is molecular manufacturing, bottom-up engineering, it can only happen if we believe in it, if we apply passion, talent, and financial resources. And it cannot happen otherwise. So are people doing that at very, very low levels? I would say at least 1,000 times less funding than it would be necessary. Maybe 1,000,000 times less funding. So millions of dollars spent in this rather than billions or trillions. And if we were to spend billions or trillions, then yes, we would have nanobots repairing brain damage and aging, let's say in 5 years. But we are not, so we won't. And until we do, we will just not have it. We will not have it. Futurists saying it's 10 years in the future, it's easy to say that because it will always be 10 years in the future. So I want to be pessimistic for once. I love to be optimistic, but I want to be pessimistic. We will not have nanobots repairing the brain and aging in 10 years. Sorry. So Emiliano is asking, can he ask a last question? All right, Emiliano, you are a wonderful, loyal fan. And absolutely, I give you the opportunity to ask the last question. But the remaining questions will be brought forward for the next AMA. So go ahead. You have a few seconds, allowing for delay between the stream getting to you and you typing the question. I don't know where you are typing it. I have to look at the various platforms. Okay, so it is not on Discord, and it is, let's see if it is on Slido. Let me take this off in the meantime. What? Okay, you got me. That was funny. Emiliano says, his last question was, can we ask other questions? Yes, you can ask other questions, but not today. You have to ask other questions, and so you can do that. There will be another Slido, and I will set it up close to the AMA, the next one, whenever it is going to be, maybe in a month or so. But if you want to start building questions and have people comment on your questions and do all those kinds of fun things, you should really go to the Discord server, just like Robin Good did, and Luca Bertelli, and Mark LaRue, and Joe Penny, right? A lot of people came to the server, and thank you, Guido. Guido says that the AMA has been extraordinarily engaging. So thank you, Guido. And if all of you want to have these kinds of conversations, not only synchronously, but also a little more asynchronously, well, come to the Discord server. All right. So thank you very much. This was fun for me as well. Thanks for all the cool questions. And I will post the links in the comment section or the description section, whatever is that one does. And please subscribe to my Italian channel if you speak Italian. You can subscribe if you don't speak Italian too, but I don't know how much you would enjoy it. We will have an Italian language Ask Me Anything as well, with different questions, with different people, and people who don't speak English, who should be able to enjoy that too. And of course, if you want to become a supporter or a fan or a sponsor or a benefactor, these are the 4 tiers on Patreon. you're welcome to join patreon.com/David Orban to do that. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode of Searching for the Question Live.